Just heard the chime. That means we've got our guy, Brian Baldinger. Baldy, what is going on? I love the shirt. There's no off season.
I mean, nothing says what's going on right now more than this shirt. You're exactly right. It's time to get busy and start looking ahead, I believe.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're starting to look ahead to what these receivers for the Broncos might do. And we're talking about, could Marvin Mims have a breakout season this year? Is that fair to expect Marvin Mims to have a breakout season this year? Does he have that in him? Or should we kind of change our expectations for Marvin being just a great returner and then anything he does as a receiver is just a bonus on top?
I think you have to. I always believe that any player at any position makes the greatest jump between their rookie season and their second season. Second season, in the system, with Sean Payton and how they go about their business and what the expectations are and how you practice, all these things kind of change. And so, look, I think he had 22 catches last year. He caught a touchdown pass. I think we should have much higher expectations for Marvin Mims than just as a returner. I mean, you don't draft a guy that high and say, okay, he's just a returner. Like, I believe you've got to, find a spot for him in the offense and let him go about and see if he can make that type of jump where he can be an every down type player.
Yeah, that makes sense. I want to go big picture here because we were just looking through these projections. And it was another projection that has the Broncos winning 5 games. Which seems to be kind of a trend when you look around. You have more of that national perspective, so can you just I know you want to be nice to Broncos fans, but realistically, I mean, is this what we're looking at here? Is this really one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in the NFL?
Well, I saw him win 5 in a row last year, like you did.
Yeah.
4 of those 5 wins were against playoff teams. Buffalo, Green Bay, Kansas City. I mean, they found ways to win games. Now, they were taking the ball away in record numbers during that stretch. And so that's always the biggest stat in every game. Can you take care of the football? I mean, they ended up plus 4 or 5 in the turnover ratio over the course of the season. I mean, that's the year that Sean Payton won a Super Bowl in New Orleans. They also happened to lead the league in takeaways that year. And so that's so if you're looking at Nick Bonito and you're looking at Jared Cooper and the pass rushers, can you apply enough pressure to create the type of takeaways that they did last year? You start winning that battle, you start winning games. And so I would say five is way too low. Like, I just don't believe that a Sean Payton team could drop that low. They won 8 last year. Nobody was happy with, the results on Christmas Day against New England. That sort of ended the season for them in some ways. Quarterback change, all the stuff that happened. But I got to believe that they're better than a 5-win team just because of the way that they're going to be coached.
I agree. And if we're going to get above those 5 wins, these projections have no Bronco receiver over 1,000 yards. If the receivers aren't going to step up and make big catches, do you think that the tight ends or the running back are more important to Bo in terms of his ability to get down the field?
Well, we saw him, go down the field just throwing checkdowns to running backs, Samaje to Jaleel a year ago. I mean, you look at Sean Payton's history of running backs and how important they are in the screen game and the receiving game. I mean, he doesn't care how you move the ball. It's great when you can throw it to a fleet of receivers the way Joe Burrow could in Cincinnati or something, but you find whatever strength you have as a team, and then you lean on that strength and you make that a big part of what you do. I mean, you go back and watch the beginning of Alvin Kamara's career in 2017 and how Sean used him on the weak side and the checkdowns, the spot screens, and all the stuff they did to get him the ball. They weren't throwing it down the field to, a big group of wide receivers. They moved it in different ways. I mean, they had Michael Thomas, who had a couple great years for him, but I could see the running back stepping up and being a big factor here because it's a crowded running back room right now. They're probably 5 deep, including the rookies. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out. But catching the ball is going to be a big part of that group right now.
And then also running the ball is going to be a big part of that group. And one of the things that I I think is overlooked when you think about a Sean Payton offense is the running game, because they had Drew Brees, and Sean helped turn Drew Brees into a Hall of Fame quarterback. But at the same time, Sean, nearly year in and year out, had a top running game in the NFL. Is that something that we're kind of sleeping on this year? And especially with a rookie quarterback, that Sean is going to lean into even more is running the ball. And it's not going to look like this pass-heavy offense that people just think when they think of Sean Payton.
Oh, yeah, that's a big part. Big part. I mean, I think, if you had Drew Brees on, he was talking about the offense. And I'm not saying any of these quarterbacks are going to be Drew Brees, but the responsibilities are going to be very similar. I mean, Drew Brees was the running game. Like, he decided, based on what the defense was showing him, whether they were running or not running. And I remember calling a Cincinnati-New Orleans game where a few years back, I think they put up 49 points, maybe in the first half. It was ridiculous. But, literally, Cincinnati couldn't be right defensively. And you just go back and watch Drew Brees in that game. He's deciding, okay, we're running. You're going to give us a light box. They're going to give us a dime linebacker in there. They're going to play us in a three-man front. We're going to shred you running the football. And so the quarterbacks are kind of understanding that part of it right now. Is it a good play to continue on 2nd and 7 to run it or throw it? The defense is going to dictate what you do, and the quarterback has to make that decision.
So I'm also curious, because Bo Nix was only under center for 8 of his pass attempts last year, and we see him out there, and he's definitely working on it, but it seems like it's going to take some time to get used to playing under center. If you're going to lean on the running game the way that we think they will, how important is it for Bo to become comfortable under center and be able to run, for the offense to be able to run the ball from under center with that gap kind of bridged a little bit?
Yeah, no, you're going to have to be able to do that. I mean, first of all, I don't believe that you could be a good running football team unless you are under center. I don't believe you can just be in shotgun and do it. So I think you have to have the illusion of the run for play action to work really effectively. But I mean, I go back and I remember Baker Mayfield was never under center, at Oklahoma or at Texas Tech. And he went to Cleveland and, he was under center. It was a heavy run offense. I mean, these guys learn that. Look, it's not like it's going to be instant, but you got to understand all of the factors of it: the ball handling, the steps. Whether you're backing straight out the way you have to sometimes in Sean's offense, or whether you're going to drive yourself out there in 5-step, 7-step type drops. It's important. I mean, all those factors are going to be important. And you have to, that if a quarterback like Bo, who was heavy shotgun at Oregon, and like a lot of these quarterbacks in college football right now, it is a transition phase for all of them to be able to take that snap.
We're talking about running the ball and the offensive line. I want to talk to you a little bit about these centers, because we don't know who will be the center. They're going to be young. They're going to be fresh, not have started any games. For you as a young offensive lineman, do you think it's easier, especially at center, to do more run blocking or pass blocking, kind of starting off in the NFL when your first couple starts?
I think most of these kids are used to pass protection coming out. I think the run blocking has really suffered. There's not enough time to work on it. There's enough time to work on it at the NFL level. I think the run blocking, where you're scooping, you're taking angles to get to the second level, let's face it, you're not going to be a good running team until you get the second level blocked. However you do that, whether it's using athleticism or power, to move people. And so I think the run blocking seems to be it seems to be in the secondary position right now behind the pass protection. I feel like everybody throws it a lot in college, whether it's just simple bubble screens or all those kind of, plays that you run in college now. I think the run blocking is something, because you just don't see, in most places, you don't see 320-pound, 330-pound nose tackles in college football. You're going to see those in a lot of defenses in the NFL, whether they're head-up zero technique or shaded and one technique. You're going to have to move big defensive tackles in the run game. And the only way to do that is get your pad level down and practice it. And I think that's something that all centers, have to learn at some point. I mean, Jason Kelsey at 290 pounds, as good as anybody in this business at doing it, but he played with tremendous leverage. And so all those things that you have to be good at in the run game, especially short yardage and goal line plays, where you got to convert, kind of starts with the center and getting good push at that position.
Baldy, last one for you, and kind of getting your perspective as a former player and obviously knowing a lot of former players. Last week, Peyton Manning said he's at the Broncos facility a couple of times a week. Should we read into that? Is there something going on there, or is that maybe common for some former players to continue to stop by the facility a couple of times a week?
I don't think it's common. However, I'm going to Eagles or OTA tomorrow at NovaCare, and people are telling me that Jason Kelsey is there almost every day. And he's there working out every day, and then he's talking to the coaches, and who knows? I think there is I think part of Peyton's going over there is basically talking football with Sean and being over there and lending any expertise. Obviously, the Manning family are from New Orleans. There's a history there with that family and the Saints and all that. But I got to believe that Peyton needs a fix like all of us. We're talking football here today. Peyton needs a fix too. His kids are being raised there in South Florida. And so I think like his curiosity about how they're putting this thing together is like he's deeply involved. And I'm not saying they're taking his suggestions or anything like that, but I think part of it is like he wants to see the Broncos get back to their winning ways. And anything he can do to help, I think that'd be my guess, just from 30,000 feet, looking on the outside of what he might be doing over there.
Well, we need to get you down at the Broncos headquarters and have you talk some ball with us. And Sean Baldy, we love having you on. Thanks for joining us.
I appreciate it, guys. You bet, man. Enjoy. I'll talk to you soon.
The best. Brian Baldinger joining us.